I just hacked generative AI in Photoshop. This video will show you how to create things that you didn't think were possible in generative AI. You might have seen this first technique, but then after that, we're just going to blow the lid off it. You want to select 40% density. So the way to do that is to go to Quick Mask, hit the Q key for Quick Mask, and then we're going to click on the color, and then to get 40, we're just going to go to the brightness, set 60, click OK. Now we want to fill it with the foreground color, which is Option Delete, which is Alt Backspace on Windows, and we can see there's that 40% overlay. And we're going to hit the Q key. Now you're not going to see the marching ants because they're less than 50% transparent. Now watch this. We're going to choose Generative Fill, and we're going to type in watercolor. Now we're going to hit Generate. And this will create some kind of a watercolor, but wait, I'm going to show you how to take this way beyond that. What if we change this up? I'm just going to get rid of that. This time I'm going to go to Quick Mask, and we're going to choose here. Now I found that if I use a much smaller amount, like a 7%, which would be 93, so you're just doing the opposite, and click OK. Now we're going to fill that. Alt Backspace. You don't see a lot there. That's okay. We're going to hit the Q key once more. So this is active, but it's only a 7% density. Now watch what happens when we put in watercolor. Now look at that. Isn't that so much better? This looks like a real watercolor. And if you're getting any value out of this video, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. You won't miss any of my videos. So one of the things I discovered, if you change the density, it changes the variance of the effect. The higher the density, the more it goes away from the original. The lower density, the closer it stays to the original. Let me demonstrate. I'm going to hit the Q key. Let's set this to 50%. This is the brightness value, by the way. Click OK. Now, if you double click on here, you can see selected areas or masked areas. I have it set to selected areas, just so you know. Okay, let's fill this with the 50%. Hit the Q key one more time. Now, I'm just going to hide that one and we'll create a new one. And let's do watercolor. And hit Generate. Notice with the higher amount, now it strays a lot further away from the original image. Well, here's the crazy thing. Now that we've got this selected, we can go beyond just watercolor. Right, let's create an oil painting. Let's hide the watercolor. And by the way, you don't need to create this extra layer. We can just do it directly on here. So we're going to hit the Q key to go into Quick Mask. Let's select the foreground. We're going to set this to 80, which is going to give us 20%. Click OK. Let's fill it. Option Backspace. Now let's turn that density into a 20% transparent selection. Q key one more time. The Q key toggles between Quick Mask and a selection. So that selection is active even though we can't see it. Let's go to Generative Fill and we're going to type in oil painting. Click Generate. And now we have different variations of oil paintings. Let's try something different. Let's do a pencil sketch. Now I could change the prompt here and it would regenerate, but what's going to do is it's going to do it based on this image and not taking into account the image underneath. Because we're not in Quick Mask anymore and we're not doing that 20% density. It's 100% density of this image. So let's hide it. Let's do the same thing. Q key for Quick Mask. Let's fill it with that foreground color. Option Backspace. So now we've got 20% mask. Hit the Q key. Now we've got the selection. So now we're generating onto 20% transparency, which means that it can see 80% of the image underneath. Very important if you want to change the style on this particular one. So we're going to choose pencil sketch and hit Generate. And if we look at these different types of pencil sketches, if these are too strong, we can make it more subtle. And see the difference we get just by changing that density. We're about to turbo this whole thing now. So I had this realization that generative fill in Photoshop is based on Firefly. So therefore the commands in Firefly must work inside of Photoshop. And they do. Okay. So if you go to firefly.adobe.com, and we're going to choose text to image. Let's describe something. It doesn't really matter what we're going to do. Let's do a street. And we're going to hit generate. And by the way, Firefly has just been updated to Firefly version 2, and the images are much better. Okay, so here's some streets. Here's where the magic comes. If you look under there, we have different options. One of them is strength. I believe we've kind of hacked into Firefly inside of Photoshop by adjusting that strength. The higher the strength would be changing that density when I was in Quick Mask. So the next logical thought I had, well, what about these prompts here? We can choose different styles, movements. So why don't we think of something like, say, Art Deco or Cyberpunk? Okay, watch this. Let's go into this image here. Let's go into our Quick Mask, hit the Q key. Let's set our density. We'll set it for 40 this time, which is going to be 60% here. Click OK. Let's fill it. Option delete or option backspace. That fills it with that 40% density, which is essentially selecting everything at 40% transparency. And now we're going to change that selection into marching ants. Hit the Q key. Now, under Generative Fill, let's type in Art Deco. Remember, we got that from Firefly, and we're going to hit Generate. And now we have this different styles. It's like an Art Deco style. If we look at this before and after, it's basically recreated the whole street, but in a different art style. All right, let's create a new one. Q. We'll just keep that at 40. So let's just fill this and then hit Q again. Let's type in steampunk. And look at this. Isn't that incredible? That's amazing. There we are before, afterwards. It's generated this style. Okay, let's go beyond that and let's look at something else. So these are movements, but we could also go into things like concepts. And look at these. These are keywords that we could use. What if we do futuristic? And here we have a different style altogether. Look at this. Now we have a futuristic style. So I encourage you to play around with this and see what you can come up with. I'm curious if you found this useful. Let me know in the comments underneath. And if you're new, welcome to the cafe. Hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications. You won't miss any of my tutorials. And until next time, I'll see you at the cafe.